The Los Angeles Clippers season once again ended in injury-fueled disappointment, with Kawhi Leonard and Paul George sidelined while their scrappy yet helpless team bowed out in the first round of the playoffs. There's no one to necessarily blame, and perhaps nothing more the Clippers could have done, but make no mistake about it, this team has been an abject failure. Even worse, there's nothing LA can do to fix it. It's honestly hard to fathom just how badly the Clippers have underachieved since acquiring Leonard and George in the summer of 2019. Sure, a lot of the disappointment can be tied to horribly timed injuries, but bad luck doesn't explain it all away. In the lone postseason that the Clippers had both Kawhi and PG healthy from start to finish, LA blew a 3-1 series lead to the Nuggets in the 2020 West Semis. And spare me any bubble-related excuses. Denver, like every team in Orlando that summer, was dealing with the same adversity the isolated Clippers were. After overcoming some early hiccups against Dallas in the 2021 playoffs, and after missing 20 and 18 games respectively during the regular season, Leonard and George looked poised to finally get the Clippers over the hump. Then Leonard tore his ACL in Game 4 of the second round against Utah. George carried the Clippers to the franchise's first conference finals appearance that spring, where LA fell in 6 tough games to Phoenix. But it was hard to be excited about what that meant for the team going forward when everyone knew Kawhi's rehab and recovery would likely sideline him for the entire 21-22 campaign. Already without Leonard, an elbow injury also limited PG to only 31 games that season. But the resilient Clippers still posted a winning record and ended up in the 2022 play-in tournament, where after losing the 7-8 game to Minnesota, their hopes were eventually dashed when George was ruled out of the final play-in game after entering pandemic-era health and safety protocols.
It's always something.
With Leonard back for the 2022-23 season, the hope was once again that if the Clippers could just get to the playoffs with their 2 stars healthy, this could finally be the year for one of the NBA's most snake-bitten franchises. So much for that. George, who played only 56 regular season games, sprained his knee in late March and ended up missing the Clippers' first-round series against the high-powered Suns. Leonard, who made only 52 regular season appearances, suffered a knee injury during that series against Phoenix, and was forced to miss games 3 to 5 after looking like the best player on the court, if not the planet, in games 1 and 2. Add it all up, and 4 years into the Kawhi and PG era, the Clippers have only played 3 playoff series with both stars in the lineup from start to finish. The duo has also only logged 118 regular season games together during that time. Clippers fans will point to the fact the team is a whopping 83-35 in those games, and they'd have a point. No one's arguing how dominant the team is or can be when both Leonard and George suit up at the same time. But you also can't argue with the fact the evidence suggests they'll never suit up together often enough for the Clippers to actually challenge for a championship. Availability is a pretty important ability, and though through no fault of their own, Leonard and George simply don't have it.
I think we need to face the cold, hard truth.
That doesn't mean the Clippers were fools to move heaven and earth to unite Kawhi and PG. It's easy to second guess it now, but it was a perfectly defensible wager at the time. While Leonard had a spotty injury history, he was also coming off of his second Finals MVP award. Meanwhile, George was coming off a 3rd place finish in MVP voting and had missed no more than 7 games in 7 of the previous 8 years. When the Clippers traded Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Danilo Gallinari, and control of up to 7 first-round draft picks for him. But selling the farm like that to land PG, and by extension Kawhi, always meant that anything less than at least 1 championship together would be a failure. Between the 2020 choke job against Denver, the injury-riddled season since, and the fact Gilgeous-Alexander has blossomed into an MVP-level superstar at 24 years old, the trade has become an unmitigated disaster for the Clippers. Now, usually this would be the part of the show where I try to explain how a team can get itself out of a bad situation, take the next step towards contention, or start the process of tearing things down. But there's no easy way out of the Clippers' current predicament. LA obviously doesn't have the trade capital or cap space to get much better, and the new CBA could further limit the Clippers' ability to make moves. As one of 3 teams currently projected to be over the second apron next season, the Clippers wouldn't have access to the taxpayer mid-level exception, and they wouldn't be able to sign certain buyout candidates mid-season, which is how they added a surprisingly valuable Russell Westbrook this year. But going the other way doesn't make much sense either. Trading Leonard and George would signal a rebuild, which is pretty hard to pull off when you don't control your own first-round pick until 2027.
There's no way out. There's no way out. We're doomed. Doomed.
When the Nets traded Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant this year, Brooklyn had at least already started recouping some draft capital by trading James Harden a year earlier, and already had promising young pieces like Nick Claxton and Cam Thomas in the fold before adding Mikal Bridges and Cameron Johnson, among others. With George and Leonard down to the final guaranteed year of their contracts before player options in 2024, neither is going to fetch the Clippers the type of haul Brooklyn got for KD. And with all due respect, youngsters like Terrence Mann, Bones Highland, Ivica Zubac, and Amir Coffey aren't keeping LA competitive enough to quickly rebound like the Nets can. Trading one of Leonard or George to better build around the other feels like a half measure, since the Clippers would still be banking on an oft-injured star staying healthy while depending on a deeper supporting cast, but one with less overall upside. Essentially, while it's wishful thinking of the highest and most pathetic order, the Clippers' best option is simply keeping the band together and hoping against hope that the team's 2 stars can finally stay healthy together in 2023-24. But I understand how underwhelming going into another season with both Leonard and George is for Clippers fans, especially in comparison to how exciting that idea seemed just 4 years ago. Pairing Kawhi with PG made sense then, even at the astronomical price the Clippers paid to do it. It just hasn't worked out. And unfortunately for the Clippers, there's nothing left to do about it now.
Thanks for watching. If you liked this video and want to see more content like this, be sure to hit that subscribe button.